Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and definitely put your trays in the upright position and fasten your seatbelt because it's time for Chapter 4 of this insane Rivals of Ixalan storyline. The chapter's name is Sabotage. The artwork is the picture of basically Tezzeret grabbing the immortal sun, which we already know he does from the leaks. Thanks, wizards. And in the first paragraph, mind blow, okay? So get ready for this. Around 1300 years ago, a soft breeze passes over an open steppe. That steppe with two P's and an E. I don't remember what it means, or I would have already replaced it with whatever that is. A herd of grass-eating beasts peacefully passed the walls of a great city of glass and stone. In a ripple of air, a dragon tore through the sky from a faraway world. Who is it? Seriously, take a guess. Take a guess who it is. Wrong. His name was Ugin. Oh, you thought it was Nicol? Screw you. Other dragons can be planeswalkers too, you freaking racist. Oh, and this is not yet another case of me just calling Nicol Ugin by accident, which you may have noticed I've done a couple times. No, Ugin. It says Ugin. Capital U-G-I-N. So it says Ugin was there for one singular purpose because that was always his purpose, was one thing. I have no idea what that one thing is because I didn't read any of that lore. Oh, but it says crowds of people gathered and like clapped and stuff and cheered because they were like waiting for him to show up, I guess. I don't know. Well, apparently Azor, who was referred to as the Arbiter of Law, he had told them the Spirit Dragon would be coming and that he could be trusted and that sort of thing. So they led Ugin through the city and everybody's like, oh, cool. I think this might be Araska, but they didn't say it. I mean, they said it was glass, which is not Araska, but I don't know. But he got to the center in what they call the Palace of Justice. So, you know, could that be the center spire of Araska? Maybe. I don't know. We're probably about to find out. But it said that Azor had lived for 10,000 years. Hello. And it says his causes were noble even if his reasons were not. That doesn't even make sense. More like his methods were not. So Azor says, Ugin, my friend, welcome to my newest home. Oh, by the way, Azor, no joke, was like, okay, everybody shut up. Or the way that they put it, the Sphinx flicked his flight feathers and a small pulse of law magic caused the crowd around them to turn around and leave. Don't you wish you could do that on Black Friday? Okay, people, enough clapping. Get the hell out of here. Seriously. So actually, I might have misspoke earlier. Azor said, what brings you to this plane? So I guess he didn't know that he was coming, but he did tell the people that Ugin was cool. He's like, if you ever see a giant planeswalking dragon, he's super cool. Everybody chill. And of course, Ugin says, well, I came to discuss our common foe. Take a guess who that is. Wrong, it's not Nicol. No, it's Nicol Bolas. You were correct this time. So Ugin just tells him, hey, like, your current plane here is not in danger, but, you know, it just hit me that they never said they're actually on Ixalan. So I'm just assuming that's where they are. That could very well not be where they are. So apparently Nicol Bolas, quite a while back, had showed up to one of the worlds that Azor went to and established law or whatever, and he just wiped out all of his work and built an entirely new empire. So I guess he wasn't thrilled about that, and then it says less than a decade later, Azor met up with Ugin and revealed the Scourge's name, his methods, and his villainous history. So Ugin's like, okay, yeah, he sounds like a dick. Every world is in danger as long as our enemy is free and whole. That's why I am here. I have devised a plan to rid the multiverse of his influence, but I cannot do it without you. So Azor's just like, all right, let's do it. So I'm going to read this so I don't miss a detail here. The plan they hatched required success on two fronts. They would need a means and opportunity to pull their enemy into their prison, and a lock to contain and neutralize him there. You know what I would do? Defeat him in battle and kill him. Anyway, as they conversed, Azor excitedly outlined the hieromancy necessary to create an object that would enhance his own law magic, giving him the ability to summon the golden dragon from any location in the multiverse. Basically like getting served court papers, I guess is what they're saying. Like, hey, you've just received a summons. Literally, I'm summoning you. And then whoop, grabs you from whatever plane you're on and drops right into court. Honestly, sounds like something Trump would do. But it says it would require the sacrifice of his own spark, but with Ugin's assistance, that could be reclaimed after Nicol Bolas was destroyed. Now see, I don't get that. Are they going to trap him or are they going to destroy him? I would think that they just want to then steal Nicol Bolas' spark or whatever, but I don't know. But he says, there is a plane I have been wanting to bring order to, a world called Ixalan. I will build the immortal sun there on the continent of Torreson. Or Torreson, I think. It's basically Spain. So it says, although Azor would no longer be a planeswalker because he would have lost his spark and used it to build the immortal sun would amplify his hieromancy, which is law magic, with the sufficient level of power, allowing him to work a magic a mortal sphinx could never hope to create. Unaided, their foe would be summoned to the cage no matter what plane he was on. Well, I don't know who would aid him, so in other words, yeah. But besides being a big old magic amplifier, it would also serve as the lock to their prison, ensuring that their planeswalking enemy would have no means of escape. Pretty clever, I mean dangerous, but clever, I guess. So then, Ugin assured Azor, and this actually explains a lot, that after centuries of planning, which, I mean, come on, you could plan a whole damn trip to Disneyland in a week. I mean, centuries? How dumb is this guy? Anyway, he had come up with a way to remove Nicol Bolas from existence for good. They just needed to capture him and basically not let him planeswalk away. I'm going to say he's going to collapse the entire plane into a black hole. Go full-blown Stargate SG-1 on his ass. You just have to manipulate gravity, and okay, that would take centuries, yeah. He'd really just have to watch every episode of PBS Space-Time, and that just feels like centuries. But then he'd know how quantum gravity works and all that crap. So Azor says, I need to know where to aim the spell in order to summon him here, so you have to lure him to a specific location. No surprises here. Ugin said, okay, that's cool. I'll lure him to Tarkir. That went well. I don't remember what happened, but I don't remember. I mean, I didn't read it in the first place. There's really a distinct difference between those two phrases, actually. But somebody told me in the comment section, which is where I get most of my lore, that Ugin and Nicol Bolas fought and Ugin lost. But then I guess Nicol Bolas left, and then Sarkhan traveled back in time and resurrected him or something. I'm sure I'm butchering the lore anyway. So then we jump over to some unknown plane. It says Nicol Bolas showed up and he was trying to interrogate an elf because every other elf in the city had ran away. But this one old dude just like stood in the center of the city and hurled insults at him, which I think is pretty awesome. Oh, and he also kept saying, oh, you're in trouble when Azor comes back. Azor is really powerful. And he's like, okay, who's that? So apparently he's like, wow, a sphinx that brings law everywhere. This is odd. This is the third time where he had encountered people that revered a sphinx who came from a faraway land and implemented order and law, and they have society now and blah, blah, blah. So Nicol Bolas was like, a hieromancer. He's an enemy. Just straight up, I don't like laws. I don't like this guy. So Nicol Bolas travels around over the years, plane to plane, and he's just looking for any kind of information about this Azor person, what his actual agenda is, why is he going from plane to plane, creating governments or whatever. And it says finally, he showed up to a plane, oh yes, racked by war. Because law magic is so perfect, it works out great. Just like politics. I mean, it literally is just like, it pretty much is politics. So he says he came upon a law mage staring forlornly down at a broken statue of Azor. So he starts reading the law mage's mind, and of course he's like, boy, I can't believe I worship that piece of crap, because he showed up and completely broke everything, turned everybody against each other, and basically fixed something that didn't need fixing at all. And then he's like, boy, I remember that one time when I was listening to him and the spirit dragon plot the end of the true evil. Well, that's convenient. So he was just like, they're talking about me, aren't they? So how convenient that he just was like, somebody going from plane to plane making laws and governments. I have to destroy him. And so then that makes him look into it. And then he just comes across somebody who happens to know their plan, which is ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous way to progress the story, but whatever. So then flash forward, and it says Azor's on the shores of, we'll just say Spain, in a maelstrom of his own magic. Oh boy. So he basically created the immortal sun by severing his own spark, and it's a masterpiece, and he's like, yeah, this is cool, it worked, yay. Oh, wait a minute here. It says, okay, now he spoke across worlds, for this was a time when planeswalkers possessed the strength of God. So this was before the mending. So he sends a little telepathic message to Ugin saying, Ugin, my strength is increased tenfold with the help of my creation. I am ready to secure our prisoner. So that's interesting. I guess it would be really difficult to kill Nicol Bolas when he was basically immortal. I mean, the only way that a planeswalker would die back then before the mending was killed by another planeswalker, and even that was incredibly difficult. So Ugin replies,
I'm over here waiting for Nicol Bolas to arrive. We just gotta wait for him to see the bait and come to Tarkir. Over.
That's how interplanar communications worked, in case you weren't familiar. And it says, because this is pre-mending, his voice echoed through the blind eternities. Okay, you would think another planeswalker perhaps would be able to tune into that and hear it. I don't know. I was like, hey, Ugin, you ready to try and trap Bolas and kill him? And he's like, yeah. And then Bolas is like, I can hear you. I'm also a planeswalker. So Ugin's flying around in the mountains of Tarkir, getting ready to, I don't know, do something, doesn't really specify, and suddenly, boom, Nicol Bolas shows up out of nowhere. He's like, okay, that's weird. And so the first thing he says, because apparently he did some pretty good research, is, your idiot cat is too fond of statues of himself. Of course, talking about Azor, who always leaves statues of himself up. Oh, and then he follows it up with, I might not even have been listening to your charming long-distance talks, he told you could hear him, if he hadn't left so many little clues here and there. Yeah, like letting people spy on his conversations. Oh my god, these people. Seriously, that is not how you plan a covert op. And so naturally, Ugin says, the immortal sun will seal you in your prison, Planeswalker. Yeah, just give the whole rest of it away, just in case he didn't already know that. That's a brilliant idea. So then they just had a big old fight. If you want to see it, it's the artwork from the card Crux of Fate. So Nicol Bolas apparently just, after fighting for a little bit, summoned hundreds of dragons to just attack him in a swarm, which you would think would do nothing because they had godlike powers, but whatever. And it says, oh, he would have died, except, oh, a man out of time intervened. Yes, Archon Vol. He preserved Ugin's body in a cocoon of stone and then vanished. Well, isn't that clever? I think Ugin sent a message to him through time or something, and I don't know, it was a whole thing. So Nicol Bolas just left. He just assumed he won. Don't check on the body or anything or see what Zarkon's up to. No, just, whatever. So it says Azor waited for a year, which is about 355 days longer than I would have waited. So eventually he's like, okay, Ugin's not coming, is he? And then he's like, wait a minute, I'm trapped here. Oh, crap. So he was trapped in his own prison. How ironic. So it said he realized that there's nothing left for him to do here except do what he did best. Build yet another system of law on Torresan or Spain or whatever. So this is a bit of a rerun, but in case you weren't paying attention the first 2 times this was mentioned, he gave the Immortal Sun initially to a monastery, and that would later give rise to the Legion of Dusk. But they were inept. In other words, they got it stolen. So Azor took the Immortal Sun back, thus proving that he is, quote, the last guardian in their lore, before it could be used by Torresan's would-be conquerors, because they just wanted to conquer everything and be vampires or whatever. Then he says he gifted it to the Sun Empire, and for a while their kingdom prospered, but their leaders grew paranoid, launching preemptive attacks on their neighbors, as you do. Well, honestly, the Torresan people are crazy, so I don't blame him. So Azor took his masterpiece back again, this time sealing himself within the walls of Araska and charging the River Heralds to guard it. He thought they were wise, but, well, they're not. They're just hipsters. But instead of, giving it to him, he just said, okay, make sure that you use your magic or whatever to make sure nobody could find it or awaken any of its power or anything. So it says he was pretty pissed at Ugin, or at least just pissed that it didn't work. He thought maybe perhaps he had abandoned him, and it was completely unknown to him that Ugin just kind of slept in a cocoon or whatever. So that's the historical section of this chapter. I'm going to cut it off here because they start talking about Jason Vraska after this, where he tries to explain who Nicol Bolas really is and who she's working for. So hopefully you found this very interesting. I know I did. It is some callbacks to some stuff I'm not too familiar with, but it's nice to fill in the gaps, and I kind of get it. I get what's going on now. I understand the circumstances. So hopefully you do too, and watch for Chapter 4 Part B very shortly, and I'll see you guys next video.